right, so now we're going to discuss how to start a part from scratch. So this is often a little, well, what I like to think of as a game I play when teaching essentials. What I do is I have some models here and I brought them into eDrawing so we don't get an idea of the front view, the right view, the top view, isometric. It's just kind of free to move around here. So we can look at this part. So this is as if we were handed this part. Okay, so how are we going to create our part? How are we going to start this part? First thing I would wonder is, well, do we manufacture a part similar to this? Are there drawings I can go look at and use as a reference? Because that makes it easy. Then that way I don't have to think about it, right? I can just use the same front view that they use for a similar part. In this case, we're assuming that we don't have that. This is a completely novel part here, okay? So we have a series of questions we can ask that's going to help us figure out how to start this part, okay? So I'm going to go through these questions one by one, and I'm going to put little check marks beside the views. So I've got these random views that I've created, and I'm going to put little check marks beside the view that fits the question, okay? So the first question is the view two-dimensional? So again, let's add a few check marks here. So this view A, yeah, that looks like a two-dimensional view. Essentially, we're looking for orthographic views here. This one here looks like a two-dimensional view. This one here looks like it's on a bit of an angle. I'm going to get rid of this one right off the bat. I don't think that'll make a good front view. Same with this one here. And actually this one here. So now we're left with just three that look like they're two-dimensional views. Okay, so let's jump on to the next question. The next question is the part in a natural, stable position? Okay, I always like to imagine if you were handed this part, how would you place it on the ground or your desk? Or is it obviously mounted? Would you mount it on a wall? And this one's a pretty good example. Maybe this is mounted, right? I don't actually know that. So I'm going to assume that it's not, just for the purpose of this. But if I knew it was mounted, it would change how I'm looking at this. So how would I place this on the ground? Probably more like A or B. So I'm going to give those another check mark. So now we've got two check marks for A and B, one for E. Next question is the longest dimension captured in this view? Well, this one's pretty easy because it's a circular part. So it's actually captured in all three of these. So they all get checks for this. The next question is, does the view contain the least hidden features or the most simple hidden features? So let's get an idea of what the hidden features in here. I'm just going to kind of draw in the hidden lines that we would see here. And I apologize for my terrible mouse sketching. So we would have a part that comes through here, something like this. Would be our hidden lines, right? That's this section here. For this one here, we're going to have the rest of this circle here. I know this is a terrible sketch, but that's actually quite good for myself. And then we're going to have the hole here. That's going to have some depth to it. And then it's going to be coming down through here. And actually, there should be another hole in there too. And we've got our two little pieces on the side here, like that. And then this one here, as well, is going to have a few hidden lines. So what is it going to have? It's going to have a hidden line around that circle, and it's going to go through. So now we get an idea of what's being hidden here, okay? So now I get to make a decision. This is a little bit subjective, but in my opinion, I'm going to say, B, this looks complex, right? There's a lot of hidden lines here. I don't really know what's going on. This one's pretty simple. I can actually almost see the bolt there. This one, it's simple. There aren't a lot of lines there, but it's a little bit more complex. So I'm going to give the check mark to A here. And our final question, does the view describe the overall shape and contour of the part? So if you were looking at this part, how would you describe that real quickly, right? What's the shape here? Well, it's kind of a round disc. It's got an angled piece that's coming up on it. So we can look at this. This one, I can't really tell exactly what's going on with this shape. Definitely helpful for our technical drawing, but it's not helping for the overall contour. This one here, a little bit confusing. Maybe that's a dome on there. I'm not exactly sure. This one here gives me a good idea that, yeah, there's a piece coming up here and it's sloped on one side here. So I'm going to give the check mark to this one here. So those are our 5 first questions that we're going to ask. Okay, so now I've got a good idea of which one is going to make a good front view. So with that, let me clear out my, my sketches here. So now I know that this is going to be my front view. It means that this is going to be my right view. This is going to be my top view. This is going to make a great ISO view, an isometric view, right? And these were just kind of put in for fun. So that's what that tells us, right? This gives us a good idea of the different views that we're going to be using here. Now, we do have one more question because I still don't know how to start this part. So the next question we're going to ask is, between the front, right, and top view, which we've just identified, what simple geometric shape makes up a large portion of the part? So I'm looking to create a lot of bulk in this part, a lot of material, and I want it to be a simple shape. So what do I have? In this one here, what do I have for a simple shape? Maybe a triangle. I don't really like that too much. I could do a rectangle here. And it's pretty much the same idea for B. I could do a rectangle here. And that could work for a starting point. If we look at E, I've got this shape here, which is pretty good. It's a circle with these 2 notches out of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, if I were to make that a really simple geometric shape, I'm going to go with a circle. So I would actually start with just a simple circle. Again, my apologies for my sketching here, but there's my circle. You'll notice I'm even ignoring these little pieces here because I just want to start with a really simple geometric shape. If I can get away with it, that's going to build a lot of the parts. So this is going to build this entire foundation here, this entire base, which is a good starting point for me. Then I can add these little cutouts in another feature, okay? The reason for that is just that's going to make it easier down the line. If we have to change that part or if we want to see a version without that, we can easily suppress it, things like that. So we really want to try and keep our sketches simple as we do this as well. So we've answered our 6 questions for how to get this started. So what does this actually tell us? Okay, well, in SOLIDWORKS, we've got our planes, right? We've got our top plane, our front plane, and our right plane. Well, those correspond to our views, front view, right view, top view. I also know what sketch I want to start with, the circle. So putting those together, to start this part, I'm going to go to the top view to start a sketch, and I'm going to sketch a circle. And that's how I'm going to get this part started. Doing it this way is going to ensure that once I go to a drawing, when I drag it into that drawing, these views are already going to be set up perfectly the way I want them, okay? So that's one way that we can quickly and easily kind of assess a part and figure out what's going to make a good front view and where we should start the sketch. Now, that's not to say that this is the only way. There are a million ways to start a sketch for modeling, and you could actually use multiple planes here. Maybe you don't even use A as your front view, right? There's going to be a lot of kind of subjective parts to this, but this is a good starting point if you don't know where to start. All right, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're ever taking Essentials, we'll see a few more of these examples as our game in that class.